Interesting question. We did a little research on you and the metamorphosis of a Jim Kelly from signing in 1983 with the Houston Gamblers and sort of looking differently than about the Buffalo Bills. Then here you are today, 2007, 2008. It's greatest cheerleader in retaining the Buffalo Bills here. How does that work? How does it?
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this definitely wasn't the first place I wanted to make my home. That's for sure. Back about 25 years ago, I guess you should say, somewhere around there. But thank you. It's been full circle. I mean, so many things have happened to me in that time with my life. From marrying my wife from upstate New York to have my family here, and of course my son Hunter being laid to rest here in Western New York. And then really falling in love with the fans of Buffalo. The majority of my friends are from upstate New York, so I thought, why not? Why not spend as much time as I can here, and hopefully down the road, you never know, might be watching the Bills game from the booth as a part owner. But that's still a long ways away. So for me, it's just exciting to be in this area and to make my home here.
Well, as you made your home here and the impact here, one of the nice things is that you really had a chance now with the Ralph Wilson issue, having a chance to meet a lot of folks and really test the temperature of other folks of similar interest.
Well, you know what, that is something that's way down the road. My main focus right now is my son's foundation and what we're doing with that, and that is my main priority. I mean, yeah, I like to go hunting and fishing and do all the great things up here. I built a nice lodge out in Holiday Valley down in Ellicottville that we go to all the time. And it's just something, the more people you meet, the more questions are asked about the future of the Bills. Am I going to be a part of it? And it's so premature right now. It's just a matter of, right now for me is finding out if the Bills can do it next year. I'm not worrying about the ownership part of it. I'm worrying about the team and who's going to be the quarterback next year and who's going to lead this team.
Jim, when I saw you this summer at the Chicago golf outing, and you indicated that the whole season depended on how JP did, and obviously the Bills decided to go with Trent. Can you give me your thoughts as a Hall of Fame quarterback, what your impressions are of Trent Edwards and as you look ahead toward the 08 season?
Well, bottom line for any quarterback, and I know it's an old cliche, you're only as good as the people around you, and it just goes to show, at the beginning, being fair also to JP, I really didn't care for the system they were running. I didn't like, what they were putting them in. I would have probably been pretty angry with some of the things that were going on there too, some of the play calling, but we won't get into that. That's why I'm not a coach. I'm a pretty good armchair quarterback, I'd put it that way, pretty much like everybody else. But for me, Trent has all the potential. I really watched him closely this year. And I know JP's went through some struggling times. But again, he had about 3 opportunities to show he can or cannot do it. And unfortunately, he's not the quarterback of the future of the Bills right now. It's Trent Edwards. And I just like the way he sits in the pocket and goes through his progressions. And he seems he makes good decisions. When he doesn't have it, he drops the ball off. He's not looking to run. He's not a quarterback that can run very good. I mean, I think I can remember back a couple quarterbacks that played here that couldn't run very well. But for me, you really think about it. You look around the National Football League nowadays. You look at the top quarterbacks in the league. You got the Peyton Manning. You got Tom Brady. You got Tony Romo. You got Brett Favre. What type of quarterbacks are they? They're pocket quarterbacks. They're not guys that can drop back, and when it's not open, they decide to take off and run with the ball, which I feel about 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's what they were looking for. A quarterback can do it all. I want a quarterback that can sit in that pocket, read the defense, go through his progressions, and the offensive lineman know where he's going to be. It's not, if you're a left tackle and you're protecting his blind side, you want to be able to know that once you hit that 11 yards, he knows you're going to step up, and you, as a tackle, can push him around. Too many people nowadays are looking for that guy that can do it all. I'm not. If I was the owner, I'd look for a guy that stayed in the pocket, had a strong arm, and more importantly than anything, had the smarts to read a defense.
Jim, you watched, obviously, the Super Bowl. I'm curious as to who you were rooting for, given your long-standing relationship with Dan Marino, the fact that the Dolphins were kind of the Antichrist during a lot of your time period, and whether you wanted them to continue to be that only undefeated team.
Be honest with you, it's something I never have never cheered for a Miami Dolphins team up until this Super Bowl. And if you were to ask me this question about halfway through the season, I probably would be pulling for the Patriots. But the more Bill Belichick talked, the more it made me pull against him. And then you have Mercury Morris. The more he talked, the more I didn't want them to win. So it was like this here, back and forth. But Tom Brady is a very good friend of mine, Junior Seau, and some of the guys on that team. But I had a chance to meet Eli Manning this year. I've known Peyton forever. I've known Archie for a long time. And I always like to see good things happen to good people. And Eli Manning was a class act. He's a young kid, says the right things, has been through it all, being part of the New York Giants team. So I pulled for the New York Giants to win. Not only me, everyone in my family did too, because Bill Belichick almost got to the point where he almost, to me, at least from my standpoint, thought that he was so much better than everybody else. And I don't care about the Spygate part. That doesn't bother me. It's just a person in general. I mean, I have other issues that I know about that we won't talk about, but I just liked how Eli Manning handled himself. I liked the Manning family. And, I wanted to see the Giants win, pure and simple.
Coming from East Brady, you were a superstar basketball player.
I don't know about that, but I was a basketball player.
Was there any question as to what sport was your sport? Growing up, I liked basketball. I liked baseball, and, we played it all. I grew up in a family of 6 boys, so we did it all, whatever sport it was, we were in it. And as a matter of fact, one of the things I wanted to do, I enjoyed probably playing defense more than I played offense on a football team. And I did play basketball, but unfortunately we do not have a team anymore. After they retired my number from football, but just very shortly after that, the school closed down. So not only they took my jersey, they retired, and they gave it back to me. Say, here, there's no more school. So all the trophies now is at our bank now in our little hometown of East Brady. But I enjoyed playing basketball, but football was my love. But and there's a whole story goes with that, but you don't have enough tape to roll. But whatever the case may be, I just like sports. Well, one of the things that is of interest is the fact you being in the Pittsburgh area, clearly the College of Pennsylvania is Penn State. And Joe Paterno was not willing to give you a quarterback scholarship. And
again, to make a long story short, yes, I wanted to play football for Joe Paterno, but unfortunately he wanted me as a linebacker, and I decided no. And I went to Miami, and some of the best decisions, I've made some, at the time, probably decisions that people would have looked at me and said, why? But in my heart, when I make my mind up, I go full steam ahead. And there's a couple decisions I made didn't make my parents very happy. Number one was college. They wanted me to go to Notre Dame, being Irish Catholic. My grandparents wanted me to go to Notre Dame. But I went to Miami, I saw the palm trees and all the warm weather, and had steak for the first time in my life, and lobster, and I was like, where do I sign? And unfortunately, I didn't make my parents very happy because they could not afford to go to any football games, but there was a coach by the name of Lou Saban was there. And but again, I went there, and thank God everything worked out for me. And there's a big long story that goes with that too, but again, you don't have enough tape. And then of course, the other decision I made to go to USFL instead of the NFL with the Buffalo Bills, another one my parents didn't want me to do, and I did the opposite. I'm not one of those kids, I listen to my parents. It just sounds like I don't, but I do. But I wanted to play in a dome stadium, and I didn't think Ralph Wilson was an owner that was ready to really build a winner there. But he proved me wrong. Just a few short years after that, when USFL folded, he guaranteed me he'd bring some help, and boy did he ever. And here we are, many years later, been to 4 Super Bowls, a bunch of championships, AFC championships, and a lot of Hall of Famers and a lot of great times.
Talk about Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Jim, you're talking about that group of guys and that great run you had, yet you're the only one in that group that is in the Hall of Fame. Can you just, Andre, it was a finalist again this year, and in my opinion, I think he should be there. Can you just talk about that group? I mean, there's probably 3 or 4 of them that deserve to be in Canada.
Well, we got myself, Marv Levy, Thurman Thomas are in it right now.
Right.
Bruce will be for sure. He'll be a first-time ballot. Andre should be there without a doubt. He will. He'll get in. Unfortunately for us, he should have been in a couple years ago, but it's getting harder and harder. Every year there's a big a group of guys that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And one guy went in this year, Art Monk, deserved to be in it a couple years ago. And I felt, and so a lot of other people, that maybe Art Monk deserves to be in there, before any of them. I guess for me, Andre should have been in first ballot. But in due time, he'll get there. And but then you got Chris Carter, too, a guy that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So hopefully next year they can put both of them, put 2 wide receivers in. Why not?
When you were in Houston, you did this run and shoot offense then. I mean, was that really your idea, or was that your Davis's?
That was Miles Davis. No, run and shoot wasn't in my book. My feet weren't quick enough, but I worked very hard to make myself quicker, faster. I'll never be a 4.7 guy. But I broke the 4.85, which to me that's blazing speed, and I did it on the AstroTurf with about a 5-10 mile an hour wind behind me. I'm serious. But I just love throwing the football, and it was almost a blessing for me because they told me, who do you want to play for? And they pretty much left it up to me to pick a team that I wanted to play for in the USFL. So I went and checked out Chicago. I checked out Tampa Bay at the time, Tampa Bay Bandits. And I said, why not play in Houston, Texas, a beautiful city, play in the Astrodome, no wind, no rain, quarterback's dream. So I went there and ran the run and shoot and threw for like 83 touchdowns in 2 years and 10,000 yards passing and loved every day. Loved it.
The no-huddle offense that you really instituted in Buffalo, was how much was that a hard sell for your coaches?
Not very, very hard at all. As a matter of fact, it's just, I guess it came to a point where they knew that our offense was more explosive, run the no huddle. For me, I enjoyed it because I get to call my own plays. I knew where to put players. I knew where to line Andre Reed up. I knew what Thurman Thomas meant. I knew, Don Beebe where he could line up at. And more for the other guys was the defensive linemen on the other side. They get tired very quickly. They started getting so exhausted that they couldn't rush the passer, and of course the offensive line loved that. When you can't, when you don't have guys rushing the passer, it makes their job a lot easier.
Tell me about the 51-3 game, the Raiders. Is that the marquee game because it got you to your first Super Bowl? Is that the one that really stands out? I remember sitting in the press box of Ralph Wilson and just unbelievable.
That stood out in my mind because, again, like you said, it's the first Super Bowl we ever played in. And also growing up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, the Raiders, when they battled the Steelers and Raiders, always played. And the Raiders were always considered the bad boys. And, of course, growing up in a family of 6 boys, I'm sure a few of my neighbors thought the same of the Kelly boys. But they played together as a team, and that was one where Howie Long was on the other team, and we knew going into that we were going to have to play an air-free game, and we did. And that was a game that everything we did worked, from a fumbled snap to a completion to a touchdown. I can go on and on. Howie Long yelling, telling us to slow the ball down. He's getting too tired. There's a lot of things to go with that, but more importantly than anything is going to our first Super Bowl.
We have to just one more, Chip. If you had to rewind a little bit of your career, what's not only the high point, but perhaps the low point, if you had to kind of edit your career tape?
Boy, I've been asking that question a lot, and really, I think I've come up with a few different answers. One was, it's a plus and a minus, having kids when I played so they can enjoy going to the locker room, and then glad I didn't have kids, because when you don't win the Super Bowl, having kids always saying, yeah, you didn't win. And when I rewind it and I look at it, if there was anything I would change, there's not many things. Yeah, you would like to change the outcome of a couple of those Super Bowls, but that's just the way it is. That's what the good Lord gave me, and you got to be blessed with everything else that came with it. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and I know that's an old cliche, but the bottom line is it takes everybody. It's a team sport. One play can be the difference between winning and losing, which we found out, several times over and over again. But the bottom line, I've been very blessed to have some great people around me, some great coaches and great players, and made a lot of friends. And now I found myself a home right here in Buffalo, New York.
Well, thank you and welcome. Thank you, Jim.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.